Harappan and the Mohenjo-daro cities. And after the proper excavation, the archaeologists they found different kinds of materials like shale, red slippery pottery, with painting in black. These were largely seen in the Indus River Valley. So the other explorations in the Rajasthan by LP Tejaswari, seen by NG Majumdar, then Kolistan by Stalin, uh, revealed that several sites similar archaeological material and same had submerses of a different type. The excavation at Mohenjo-daro and Harappa provided the images of a Bronze Age. We have already discussed about it that the materials we have found at Harappa it proves that they were belonging to the Bronze Age. Pegotti in 1952 considered the two cities as twin capitals of a state, twin capitals of a state whose uniform material culture was seen in terms of a monotonous regularity of a highly organized community under some strong system of centralized government controlling production and distribution, and no doubt living system of tolls and customs throughout the territory under its rule. So Pegotti, in 1952, he has opined that perhaps Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, it might be the two capitals of a same state because they were getting the same kinds of materials throughout Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. The Harappan sites were also fairly similarities with the Mesopotamia. So when we have discovered so many things, so many materials in Harappa, and the same kinds of materials are were also available in Mesopotamia. So naturally, they are coming to the conclusion that there might have any trade relation between Mesopotamia and Harappa. The stone bust, I have already discussed with you that the stone bust of a male was found at Mohenjo-daro, termed as a priest king. Stone bust means ଗୋଟେ ମାନେ ବଡ ଛାତି ଷ୍ଟୋନ ବଷ୍ଟ ବଡ ଛାତି ଥିବାର ଗୋଟେ ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ଷ୍ଟାଚ୍ୟୁ ପାଇଛନ୍ତି. They are turning age. They were given a name just like priest king. So this is all about the Harappan and the Mohenjo-daro's ancient cities. Now we will see recent data and new interpretations. So when we have discussed so many things on Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, so what happened? Their interpretation is totally changed. What we have read during our early period, or so to say, even during my period, and the interpretation of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa is totally changed. And now we'll discuss about the various interpretations. ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମେ difficulties have any difficulties, don't hesitate to ask me. Okay, I am here to clear your doubts, and I will also happy if you ask any question, my dear friends. Though these subjects are not at all difficult because Harappa and Mohenjo-daro so many times we have read and discussed. Till then, some questions may arise in your mind. So the idea of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa being exactly similar and revealing a monotonous material culture. So monotonous means repetition and dull. What someone has asked me regarding the word monotonous, that means repetition. That means automatically it will develop a dull quality among us. Um, the material culture is no longer considered the case. Two major settlements, Mohenjo and Harappa, now in Pakistan. So you see, though we are taking credit, though we are taking proud that these two cities, Mohenjo and Harappa, are belonging to India, but now they are in Pakistan after 1947. It is required to recover more Harappan sites. So when it went to the portion of Pakistan, so what happened? It is required to recover more Harappan sites in Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Punjab, Haryana, and Western UP, and many of the non-Harappan sites which were chronologically earlier or later than the Harappan sites. So what happened when these two cities they went to Pakistan? Generally, what happened? The other near sites, those who are very close to the Harappa and Mohenjo, like Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Punjab, and Haryana, Western UP, and so what happened? They tried to discover or examine these sites in order to get more information on Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Um, were identified to either Chalcolithic or early Iron Age settlement. So I have already discussed with you which is Chalcolithic. Chalcolithic means the copper bronze age or known as the Chalcolithic period. So what happened? They were identified as either Chalcolithic or early Iron Age settlement. Early Iron Age settlement excavations and exploration of Harappan sites have been useful because it added information to its locations, materials, and built space. So what happened? So it requires more information and it requires more knowledge on Harappa and Indus Valley. Um, so these large and small sites were such as Harappa, Lothal, Sarkota, Kalimangan, Banwali, Dolavira. So these are the small sites near the Harappa and the Mohenjo. An important survey. So try to underline these places because you have to produce it and you think so this question this will come into an exam. Yeah, this is a fundamental question. So you have to note down, either you have to note down or you have to underline these places. An important survey of Mohenjo-daro enabled scholars to recover micro evidence of craft activities. So they have found that craft activities were there. What does it mean? What do you mean by craft activities? Who can say? Craft activities? Who can say, my dear friends? Craft means it is a skill. It is a skill which was done by the individuals. Craft skills. Okay, it depends upon the persons. So suppose आम गोटे करुचे बर्तमान हाथ में आम गोटे पंखा करुचे बा हाथ में आम पट्टी बुणुचे बा हाथ में बर्तमान जो बाउंस जो बर्तमान जो काम जाक होची कुला तार विभिन्न टोकई ए सब जाक होची दैट इज नोन एज craft activities. Okay, an important survey of Mohenjo-daro enabled scholars to recover micro evidence of craft activities. Then regarding the artifacts provides a better understanding of urban history. So artifacts, it is also made by humans. So these artifacts provides a better knowledge about the urban history of the Harappa and the Mohenjo-daro. It provides us an entire monographs like trade, political organization, technologies, and crafts, geological province studies, discovery of the Harappa and the decline of the Harappan urban centers. So you see how they are proving that better understanding or better knowledge about the urban history. It provides us an entire monograph of the Mohenjo-daro and Harappan cities like trade activities, political organizations, technologies, crafts, geological province, discovery of the Harappan, and also it provides knowledge about decline of the Harappan urban centers. So, getting such type of materials, when we have discovered or exhibited these materials, naturally we are getting a new information regarding all these activities. Harappan weights, you see Harappan weights, seals, black slip jars, and carnelian beads are carved. Then chloride vessels from Iran. These are the materials we are getting. You see one thing, here I am giving you a clear picture, giving an example. You say, ଏବେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଓଜନ କରୁଛେ ଆମେ ଯାଉଛେ ପରିବା ଦୋକାନକୁ ହେଲା ଏ ଜିନିଷ ସମସ୍ତେ ଜାଣିପାରିବେ ଭଲ ରୂପେ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ପରିବା କିଣିବାକୁ ଯାଉଛେ ଧନ୍ୟ ତାକୁ ଆମେ ମାଗୁଛେ ଗୋଟେ 2.5 କିଲୋ ବା 3 କିଲୋର ଗୋଟେ ଆମକୁ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ପରିବା ଦିଅ ସେ କଣ କରୁଛି ନା 2 କିଲୋଟେ ନଉଛି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଛୋଟ ପଥରଟେ ରଖିଦଉଛି ବା ଛୋଟ ପଥର ଦୁଇଟା ରଖିଦଉଛି 3 କିଲୋ କରିକିରି ଆମକୁ ସିଏ ଦେଇ ଦଉଛି ଏବଂ ଆମେ ୱିଥଆଉଟ୍ ଏନି ହେଜିଟେସନ ଆମେ ତାକୁ କଣ କରୁଛେ ପଇସା ମଧ୍ୟ ଦେଇ ଦଉଛେ ହଉଛି ନା ଏ କଥା hello my dear friends did you understand or not ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଦୋକାନକୁ ଯାଉଛେ ପରିବା ଦୋକାନକୁ ଯାଉଛେ ଏବେ ମଧ୍ୟ still this practice is going on ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଯାଉଛେ ଧନ୍ୟ ତାକୁ 3 କେଜି ମାଗୁଛେ ତା ପାଖରେ 3 କେଜିର ବଟକରା ନଥାଉଛି ଆମେ ତାକୁ କଣ କରୁଛୁ 3 କେଜି ମାଗିଲେ ସେ କଣ କରୁଛି 2 କେଜିର ବଟକରା ପକଉଛି ଏବଂ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଅଧ କେଜି ହଉ ବା କେଜିର ବଟକରା ସେଠି ପକେଇ ଦଉଛି ପକେଇ ଦେଇ ସେ କଣ କରୁଛି ନା ଆମକୁ ଓଜନ କରି ଦେଇ ଦଉଛି ଏବଂ ଆମେ ମଧ୍ୟ ତାକୁ ନେଇ ଆସୁଛେ ଆଣୁ ନାହିଁ ଦେଖ ଏବେ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେ ଟ୍ରାଡିସନ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଚାଲିଛି ଏବଂ ତମେ ଚିନ୍ତା କର ଯେ ହରପ୍ପାନ ସଭ୍ୟତା ସମୟରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ହାଉ ଦେ ମେଜର ଦ ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ କାଇଣ୍ଡସ୍ ଅଫ କମ୍ୟୁନିଟିଜ ଓକେ Harappan weights, seals, black slipper jars, try to underline these words, and carnelian beads, that means one kind of precious stone, are carved, then chloride vessels from Iran. Chloride vessel means it is one kind of marble. Marble ଘର ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ କରୁଛି ସେତେବେଳେ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେଟା ଥିଲା chloride vessels that was known as. Then archaeologists also understood that implication of a long distance studying network of the Bronze Age world. So what happened? The archaeologists they have also opinion. They also come to the conclusion that at that time trade contact was there during Bronze Age to different kinds of the towns like Mesopotamia or Iran and to the different neighbor countries. Any doubt, my dear friend? Any doubt?
No, sir. No, sir.
No. Regarding the political structure of the Harappan has a divergent views. So now we'll come to the political structure. What is the political structure at that time? So lack of a state, a single state, and a multiple states. So these are taking a confusion one. Okay, whether it is a state or not, whether it is a single state or it is a multiple state, and different historians or archaeologists they are giving different opinions. Then Gregory Posel views that it had socio-cultural complexity and absence of a state due to lack of sculptures of rulers or palaces of a bureaucracy and of a state religion. So what happened? George Posel, he opines that there was no, perhaps there was no state at that time. Kahinki? Now, due to the lack of sculptures of rulers, they were not able to get the sculptures of any rulers. ସେମାନେ ଯେହେତୁ କୌଣସି ଶାସକଙ୍କର ମୂର୍ତ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ପାଇନାହାନ୍ତି ଏ ଯାଏଁ ତେଣୁକରି they are doubting that at the time there was no state. ଖାଲି ସେତିକି ନୁହଁ, they are also not getting any palaces of bureaucracy, means the palaces of the ruler. Palace ର ଅର୍ଥ କଣ ହଉଛି? ଗୋଟେ ରାଜାଙ୍କର ଯଦି ପ୍ୟାଲେସ ଅଛି ତାହେଲେ naturally it must be a big one. So due to the lack of sculptures of rulers or palaces of bureaucracy and of state religion, they are also not getting any state religion about Harappa or Mohenjo. State religion means, you see, ଯେତେବେଳେ state religion କଥା ଆସିବ, naturally one will get enough materials about the religion. Then Jonathan Kenner view that lack of a single building or a group of buildings dominating at either Mohenjo or Harappa suggests the absence of a hereditary monarchy. So John Kenner, his view is that there was a lack of a single building or a group of buildings. Single building means ଗୋଟେ ଚାରିପଟେ ହେଇଥିବ, ଚାରିପଟେ ବାଉଣ୍ଡରୀ ୱାଲ୍ ଥିବ, ଗୋଟେ ଦୁର୍ଗ ଟାଇପ ର ଥିବ, that is known as a single building. or ଗୁଡାଏ ଘର ଥିବ. ନ୍ୟାଚୁରାଲି ଯଦି ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା ଗୋଟେ ଆଡମିନିଷ୍ଟ୍ରେଟର ଘର ଅଛି ତାହେଲେ ନ୍ୟାଚୁରାଲି ଗୋଟେ ରଜା ରହୁଛନ୍ତି ବା ଗୋଟେ ଶାସକ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି, ତାଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ଗୁଡାଏ ଶାସକ ଥିବ, ଗୁଡାଏ ଘର ଥିବ, ଏଇଟା ମଧ୍ୟ କିଛି ଜଣା ପଡୁନାହିଁ. So lack of a single building or a group of buildings dominating at either Mohenjo and Harappa suggests the absence of a hereditary monarchy. যদি হেরিটেটারি ফর্ম অফ থান্তা মোনার্কিয়াল ফর্ম অফ গভর্নমেন্ট যদি সেটা থান্তা তাহলে নিশ্চিত রূপে এদের ଗୋଟେ বিরাট ঘর বা এ গ্রুপ অফ মানে হাউসেস অর বিল্ডিংস সেତେବେଳେ ରହିଥାନ୍ତେ ବୋଲି ଜନସନ୍ ହି opines. With large buildings and open spaces may be evidence of a separate elite communities at both sides. ସେ କଣ ହେଇଛି ନା ଲାର୍ଜ ବିଲ୍ଡିଂ ନାହିଁ କି ଓପନ ସ୍ପେସ୍ ନାହିଁ. So, my dear friends, one thing, try to understand the word space. It is a very important word, and whenever you will write about Harappa or Mohenjo, particularly try to give such type of words in your sentence. Space ର ଅର୍ଥ ହେଲା କଣ? Space ର ଅର୍ଥ ହେଲା କଣ? କିଏ କହିପାରିବ? Space means space ର ଅର୍ଥ କଣ?
एरिया एरिया
एरिया स्पेस अर्थ होला एरिया. ହେଲେ ସେଟା କଣ ହଉଛି ନା ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଆମର ନିଜର ଘର ଥାଏ, ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ଲୋକର ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ଏମ୍ବିସନ ଯେ ଟାଉନରେ କିଛି କିଛି ଜାଗା ପକେଇବା, ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ ନୋନ୍ ଏଜ୍ ସ୍ପେସ୍ ଅର ଏରିଆ ହେଲା. ଏବଂ ଯୋଉମାନେ ତମେ ଦେଖିବ ଯୋଉମାନଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ପଇସା ପ୍ରାଚୁର୍ଯ୍ୟ ବେଶ ଭରା ଅଛନ୍ତି, ସେମାନେ ଅଟୋମେଟିକାଲି ଦେ ହେଭ୍ ଏ ଲାର୍ଜ ନମ୍ବର ଅଫ ସ୍ପେସେସ୍ ହେଲା. ଏବଂ ଯିଏ ରହୁଛି ଟାଉନରେ ସିଏ ମଧ୍ୟ ଚାହୁଁଛି ମୋର ଗୋଟେ ଜାଗା ହେଇଯାଆନ୍ତା କି, ମୋର ଗୋଟେ ଏରିଆ ହେଇଯାଆନ୍ତା କି, ସିଏ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେଇଟା ଚିନ୍ତା କରୁଛି ହେଲା. ହେଲେ କିନ୍ତୁ କଣ ହେଇଛି, ଜନସନ୍ ସେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି କଣ, there was a lack of large building and space. So it proves that there was no hereditary monarchical form of government or the head of the state. There must be a head of the state. এটা কি প্রমাণ করেন নাহি বলি is the opinion of Jonathan. Then Ratnagar, another historian, he opines that city states in the early dynastic period in Mesopotamia, the same writing system, similar religious architecture, metallurgy, and steel carving styles we will find different weight systems, large palace complexes at different sites, and the occurrence of monumental art at several cities, pointing to the existence of multiple politics. So what happened? You see, try to understand these sentences. Ratnakara, see, he has given a beautiful example. City states in the early dynastic period in Mesopotamia. ଯେତେବେଳେ ମେସୋପୋଟାମିଆରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଏର୍ଲି ଡାଇନେଷ୍ଟିକ ପିରିୟଡ ଚାଲିଥିଲା ବଂଶ ମୋ ପରେ ମୋ ପୁଅ ରଜା ହବ ତାପରେ ତା ପୁଅ ରଜା ହବ ଯୋଉ ଏର୍ଲି ଡାଇନେଷ୍ଟିକ ପିରିୟଡ ୱାଜ ଗୋଇଂ ଅନ୍ ଇନ୍ ମେସୋପୋଟାମିଆ ହ୍ୱାଟ ହ୍ୟାପେଣ୍ଡ ଦ ସେମ୍ ରାଇଟିଂ ସିଷ୍ଟମ the similar religious architecture, metallurgy, and steel carving styles, we will find different weight system. These are the practice in Mesopotamia. It is pointing to the existence of multiple politics. So naturally, it proves that multiple politics were there. She pointed out the probably colonies in the Macron, Kuch, Kachar, and the Oxus. Oxus, Harappan infrastructural elements like bricks, chart blades, then mental tools and cars, lack of regional animal motif on Harappan seals, the ubiquity of the unicorn, then motif, the absence of any building like Great Bath or the pillar hall other than Mohendaro, and Mohendaro alone has a revealed stone structure of man. So try to understand this. So what happened? Ratnakara pointed out the probably colonies in the Makran, Kuch, ସେତେବେଳେ ସେ କହୁଥିଲେ ଯେ କଲୋନି ଥିଲା କୋଉଠି କୋଉଠି in the Makran, Kuch, Kachwar, and the Oxus. So in these places, colonies were there. Harappan infrastructure elements. What elements? Harappan infrastructure elements like bricks. These are the most important elements of the Harappa and Mohendar sites. First, bricks, bricks and well-bond bricks. মানে ইটা, কাদুଅ ইটা এবং পোড়া ইটা, bond bricks. Bricks. Then chart blades. Chart means stone blades. Okay, stone blades, metal tools and cars, metal tools and cars. ছোট ছোট শগড়, ছোট ছোট টুল মানে বিভিন্ন প্রকার উপকরণ। লেক অফ রিজিওনাল এনিম্যাল মোটিভ। রিজিওনাল এনিম্যাল মোটিভ, মোটিভ মিন্স ডিজাইন, ହେଲା ଯେ ଯୋଉ ଜାଗାରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି ତାର ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଏନିମେଲ ର ଡିଜାଇନ। ଅନ୍ ହରପାନ ସିଲ୍ସ, ହେଲା ଯୋଉ ହରପାନ ସିଲ୍ସ ରେ we are getting different kinds of motif or animal designs. The ubiquity means common. The ubiquity of the unicorn. Unicorn means horse. ଏ ଯୋଉ ୟୁନିକର୍ନ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ କିଏ ନାଁ ଦେଇଛି କହିପାରିବ? ଗୋଟେ ଭେହିକଲ ନାଁ ଦିଆଯାଇଛି ୟୁନିକର୍ନ। ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ସଦାନନ୍ଦ,
ସାର୍
ୟୁନିକର୍ନ ଟା ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଗୋଟେ ଭେହିକଲର ନାଁ ଦିଆଯାଇଛି। ସେ ଭେହିକଲ
ହଣ୍ଡା ହଣ୍ଡା ହଣ୍ଡା
Honda.
ହଣ୍ଡା ହଣ୍ଡାର
Unicorn ହେଇଛି। Unicorn means it is a one kind of a horse that was we will get it during the Mohendara civilization or the Bronze Age. Okay, so the ubiquity of the unicorn motif, the absence of any building like Great Bath or the Pillar Hall other than the Mohendaro. That means Mohendara hi Great Bath ଅଛି or the Pillar Hall Mohendara hi ଅଛି, ଅନ୍ୟ କୋଉଠି ନାହିଁ। And the Mohendaro alone has revealed stone statues of men. ଏବଂ ଯୋଉ ଷ୍ଟୋନ ଷ୍ଟାଚ୍ୟୁ କଥା ତ ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି ଆ ପୂର୍ବରୁ, ଯୋଉ ଗୋଟେ ଯୋଉ ତାକୁ ପ୍ରିଷ୍ଟ ମ୍ୟାନ ବୋଲି ତାକୁ ଯୋଉ କୁହାଯାଇଛି, ହେଲା ଏ ସବୁ ଯାକ we will get at Mohendaro. Ratnakara's contention is that the Harappan represents an archaic state. Archaic means old state in a society on kingship and those on class. So kingship means That is the broad relation. So Ratnakar's opinion is that Harappa represents an archaic state. It is an old state in a society on kinship basis. Kinship, not a kingship, on kinship basis. That means they are based on broad relation. And those on class. Uller, Canon, Ratnagar, Habib, Gopinath, all have the opinion that Harappan landscape decorative system of sites, then morphology, form of cities, the economic with the trade, crafts, and the end of urban culture. So, their opinion that it was based on kinship based society or kinship based state. So, a good declaration urban landscape means visible area, that decorative system of sites, then morphology form of sites, then one kind of a form, then the economy with the trade, crafts, and the end of urban culture. So taking into account of these, their opinion that there might be some, it might be a state at that time. So this is all about the um, new interpretation or the recent data which is based on Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. गोटे कथा हला कौन ना ସେମାନେ ମହେଞ୍ଜୋଦାରୋରୁ गुड़िए मेटेरियल्स पाइछन्ती जो मेटेरियल को बेस करछन्ती जो आमे जो देखिले ब्रिक्स कथा कुहो बेल बॉन्ड ब्रिक्स कथा कुहो देन यूनिकॉर्न कथा कुहो देन सील्स कथा कुहो ए सब जाक ସେମାନେ जो पाउछन्ती सेई जो ସେମାନେ गोटे कंक्लूजन को आछन्ती जे एटा गोटे एन्शिएंट रे गोटे स्टेट थिला बट इट वाज बेस्ड ऑन किनशिप not kingship. Both are two different words. Kingship means सब variety लोक रहिबे. Kinship means it is only the blood relations persons are there. এবং ସେମାନେ जो देखिले गेट बाथ द पिलर हॉल ए सब जगह जो देखिले ସେମାନେ सेटाକୁ conclusion को ସେମାନେ आछन्ती ଏବଂ जो same kind of trade was going on in Harappa and Mohenjo-daro and the same way system was going on both in the twin city or the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Okay, so if you have any doubt or anything you want to say, you can share with me. Swagatika?
Sir?
Swagatika?
Again, sir.
Any doubt? Swagatika?
No, sir.
Any doubt?
Again, sir.
Call ko bolo.
No, sir.
No. Then Sadananda?
No doubt, sir.
Sadananda?
No, sir.
No. Vishwajit? Vishwajit? Rajiv? No doubt. Okay. So now we'll proceed. So between the Harappa and the early historic or absence of cities, now we'll discuss. According to archaeologists, the period between the end of the Harappa to the beginning of the early historic means 1900 to 500 before Common Era was rural in character. You see, according to archaeologists, the period between the end of Harappa, that means the decline of the Harappan city to the beginning of early historic sites means from 1900 to 500 BC was rural in character. It was not in urban at all. Whether there was any connection between the Harappan and the early historic sites has also been a matter of debate. So what happened? Naturally, there should be a connection between the end of the Harappan sites and the beginning of the early historic sites, but still it is a matter of doubt. The historians, they are not able to come to the conclusion whether they have any contact or not. A close examination of the sites in the two periods showed numerous differences in fortifications, city plans, drainage system, public building, and domestic architecture. So we will find a number of differences was there. Naturally, there shouldn't be any difference. First thing, and naturally, the early historic cities, they should have a good plan, but they are not getting such type of plans. Rather, they are getting that numerous differences were there in fortifications, in city plans, drainage system, public buildings, and domestic architecture. There were critical differences in the politics, economics, societies of the two periods. You see, there was a critical difference. There was a critical difference in the politics and at the same time the economic system, that means trade and commerce, that means agriculture, and the societies also they are marking. So now we'll see what is the early historic cities, what were its characters. The early historic urbanism can be divided into three categories. Try to underline these three categories. The first would be primarily based on text, which are narrative in nature. So the first would be the early historic urbanism can be divided into three categories, and the first was based on the text. That means we are getting any literature. Okay, that was based on the text, which are narrative in nature. जोटाकि ताऊपरे वर्णना करा जायछि. Monographs of CPV IR, Town Planning in Ancient Deccan. His book is Town Planning in Ancient Deccan. The second includes the overviews of urbanization and urbanization early historic period. Urbanization and urbanism. These are the two important words kindly noted. Urbanization means growth of urban population. Try to note down it. Urbanization, URBANISATION. Urbanization means growth of urban population. Urbanism, URBANISM. Urbanism means culture of urban. Okay, did you understand? Okay, so what happened? Then CPBIR, he has opinion that town planning in ancient Deccan, that means the second includes the overviews of urbanization and urbanism. Urbanization means the growth of population, and urbanism means the culture. Okay, the art of living. Urbanism means early historic period. So he has given a difference between urbanization and the urbanism. Okay, urbanism means the style of the art of living, the style of living. These are known as the urbanism. Then the thirdly, archaeological research undertaken through field surveys and excavations. So they have given different kinds of views like the early historic cities, and accordingly they divided the cities into three categories. Their first is the early historic cities. They were getting it is quite narrative in nature. Then the second is it is based on urbanization and urbanism. And thirdly, the archaeological research undertaken through field surveys and exhibitions what they are telling. So then early historic cities in text, then we will see one after another what they have written. Devi Prasada Chattopadhyaya text provide literary images um, as well as normative uh, prescriptions about cities. So you see what Devi Prasad Chattopadhyaya he wants to tell us. Then literary images, that means the um, provide literary images as well as a normative. That means based on norms, normative prescriptions about the cities. These texts tell us how cities were during early historic period. So these texts tell us about the early cities, early historic period. He highlights two perspectives: the Rashtra's view as described in Arthashastra. You see how they have described it. That means it is based on. Okay, that is based on that means Rashtra's view as described in Arthashastra. Okay, and more mundane description of a city in Silapadikaram, Tamil story written in the 5th century BC by Prince Ilanko Adikal. It is a narrative text. So these two texts, Silapadikaram and Arthashastra. So accordingly, they have described the early historic cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. In the former, the city is seen as a hierarchy. Hierarchy means hierarchical basis. Means ruled by king. So it was ruled by king. On the other hand, talked about a city where individuals from different social and occupational groups intersected, that means divided. So one thing they try to give their opinions that it was ruled by king. Secondly, they have a different social and occupational groups and all are intersected. That means all are divided. As Kaul points out that there is a difference between normative and narrative text. So normative means it is a full of events. Narrative means just it is described. So different versions of urbanism are there in three normative texts: the Arthashastra, Dharmashastras, and Kamasutra. Okay, Kamasutra, it was written by Bachayana. So these three books, Arthashastra, then Dharmashastra, and Kamasutra. These are the important books which tells about early historical cities. Okay. Kamasutra narrative texts are like Ramayana, then Padaditika. Cities are projected in district. So, like Ramayana and Padaditika, in that text also cities were described. So, Eskaur has mentioned the variations in the cities between the Brahminical Sanskrit Dharmasutra and the Buddhist Pali text. So, Eskaur he has again mentioned about the variations of the cities. The cities during the Brahminical Sanskrit Dharmasutras and the Buddhist Pali text. The Brahminical Dharmasutras were not favorable towards cities, whereas Vedic sacrifices could not be performed. At that time, Vedic sacrifices like Ashwamedha or ଆମେ ଯୋଉ ଛେଳି ବୋଦା ଯୋଉ କାଟୁଥିଲେ ଏ ସବୁ ଯାକ ସେତେବେଳେ ନଥିଲା, ତେଣୁକରି the Brahmins they didn't like it. On the other hand, the Buddhist Pali texts were overwhelmingly enthusiastic about urbanism. So on the other hand, what happened? Buddhist texts like Pali text, they have overwhelmingly enthusiastically they have described about urbanism. So here we have discussed about the three important books like Arthashastra, Dharmasutra, and the Kamasutra. So besides, we have also seen about Ramayana and Padaditika. These are the most valuable texts. Besides, here they have given also about the Brahminical Dharma Sutras and about the Pali Sutta Pitaka of the Buddhist text. So these are the most important books which gives a clear description about the early historic sites. So my dear friends, if you have any doubt, you can ask me.
Sir, urbanization means growth of population. Urbanism means
Growth of culture, ଇଜମଟା ଯୋଉଠି ରହିଲା ବୁଦ୍ଧିଜିମ୍ ଜୈନିଜିମ୍ ଏଇଟାର କଣ ଅର୍ଥ ଯୋଉଠି ଏଇଟା ରହିଲା that is the culture of one part. Okay.
okay sir.
Urbanization means growth of population ଖାଲି ହେଇଗଲା କି we have to see their style of living. Culture ର ଅର୍ଥ କଣ the art of living, the style of living, how they are using their dress, what is their food habit. ସେମାନେ କଞ୍ଚା ମାଂସ ଖାଆନ୍ତି ବା ତାକୁ ସିଝେଇକିରି ଖାଆନ୍ତି, ସେମାନେ ଜିନ୍ ପିନ୍ଧନ୍ତି ବା ତାଙ୍କେ ଅର୍ଡିନାରୀ ଡ୍ରେସ୍ ପିନ୍ଧନ୍ତି. ଯୋଉ ଷ୍ଟାଇଲଟା ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଆମେ ଯୋଉ ଦେଖୁଛେ ତମେ ଯୋଉ ଜାଗାରେ ରହୁଛ ତମର ଷ୍ଟାଇଲ ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର ଷ୍ଟାଇଲ, ତମର ଷ୍ଟାଇଲ ଦିଲ୍ଲୀର ଷ୍ଟାଇଲ, ବମ୍ବେର ଷ୍ଟାଇଲ, ଏ ସବୁ ଯାକ ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ କଣ ହଉଛି ଅଲଗା ହେଇ ପଳେଇ ଯାଉଛି. So that is known as the isms. Okay.
Okay sir, thank you sir.
Then any doubt? Any doubt?
Sir, जो बुद्धिस्ट पाली सब जो बुक पढ़िले माने बुकटा हेतबेले जुगरे माने लेखा हेतिला माने हरप्पा जुगरे
नहीं सेटा नहीं. हाँ सेटा भी बढ़िया क्वेश्चन बतालो. এইটা এই যে টেক্সট গুড়িক কହୁଛନ୍ତି ଆମେ ତ ଦେଖିଲେ ଏଗୁଡିକ ବିଲୋଙ୍ଗିଂ ଟୁ ଦ ଏର୍ଲି ହିଷ୍ଟୋରିକ ପିରିୟଡ. ବୁଝିଲା ନା ନାହିଁ ଆମେ ଯୋଉ କହୁଛେ ବ୍ରୋଞ୍ଜ ଏଜ କଥା କହୁଛେ କିନ୍ତୁ ଆର ଯୋଉ ଡେସ୍କ୍ରିପସନ ଯାକ ଆମେ କୋଡେ ପାଉଛେ ତା ପରେ ପରେ ଯୋଉ ବହି ଯାକ ଲେଖା ଯାଇଥିଲା ସେ ବହିରୁ ଆମେ ପାଉଛେ ଲାଇକ ରାମାୟଣ, ପାଲି ବୁଦ୍ଧିଷ୍ଟ text, then the Dharma Sutras, then Arthashastra, then Kama Sutras written by Botchayana. ଏ ସବୁ ବହି ଗୁଡିକ ରୁ ଆମେ ସେ ଏର୍ଲି ହିଷ୍ଟୋରିକ ସିଟିଜ ଉପରେ ଆମେ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ପାଉଛେ.
जो एठी टर्म अछि एंथुजियास्टिक मींस कोन
एंथुजियास्टिक माने इंटरेस्टिंग, ओवरवेलमिंग एंथुजियास्टिक माने ସେମାନେ पूरापूरी माने खुशरे लिखिଛନ୍ତି. पाली टेक्स्ट जो अछि ए सब जाक कथा डिटेल लिखा जायछि.
ओके सर, थैंक यू सर.
ओके
सर जो ये बुद्धिस्ट लैंग्वेज जो लिखा है बुद्धिस्ट जो लिखा है पाली रे एंड जैनिज्म रो जो लिखा है प्राकृत रे ए कोन दिटा को डिफरेंट लैंग्वेज की.
हां दिटा डिफरेंट लैंग्वेज.
ओके सर, थैंक यू सर. मतो सेटा टिके डाउट थिला. थैंक यू सर.
ଆଉ କିଛି डाउट एनी डाउट पचारले ही हमें आगु जिबा. बुझले नहीं योर डाउट इज योर नॉलेज. ଆଉ କଣ ଜାଣିବାକୁ ଅଛି କୁହ. ଏ ଯୋଉ ପାଞ୍ଚଟା ବହି କଥା କହିଲି try to ମାନେ underline it and positively you will give it in your note. ତମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦେଖିବ ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ମଜା କଥାଟେ କହୁଛି ଏ ପାଠ ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମେ 10ଟା ଯାକ ପାଠ ପଢିଦବ ତମେ ଯେକୌଣସି ତମର କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ ଆସୁ ତାକୁ ବେସ୍ କରି ଲେଖିବ ଦେଖିବ ସେ ଆନ୍ସରଟା ତା ସହିତ ଠିକ ହେଇଯିବ. ଇଟ୍ ଇଜ ମାଇ ଏକ୍ସପିରିଏନ୍ସ. ଓକେ ଏଇଟା ତମେ ଦେଖିବ ସବୁ ଯାକ ପାଠ ପଢିଦେଲା ପରେ ତମକୁ ଆଉ କିଛି ନୂଆ ଲାଗିବ ନାହିଁ. ତମେ ଯେକୌଣସି କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ ଆସିବ ତମେ ତାକୁ ଧରି ଲେଖିବ. ସେଇଟା ହୁଏତ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ଚାପ୍ଟର ହେଇପାରେ, ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ଚାପ୍ଟର ହେଇପାରେ, ଥାର୍ଡ ଚାପ୍ଟର ହେଇପାରେ ହେଲା. ତେଣୁ ତମେ ସେ ଭିତରେ କେତେ ଦୂର ଇଣ୍ଟରମିଙ୍ଗଲ କରୁଛ, କେତେ ଦୂର ତମେ ପ୍ରବେଶ କରୁଛ ତା ସେଇଟା ହିଁ ବଡ କଥା. ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମେ ଓଏସ୍ ଦବ ବା ସିଭିଲ ସର୍ଭିସ ଦବ এইটা ହିଁ ସେମାନେ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ସେମାନେ ଖୋଜନ୍ତି ଯେ ପିଲାଟା କେତେ ଦୂର ପ୍ରବେଶ କରିଛି. କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ଟା ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ପାର୍ଟରୁ ଆସିଛି ଆମେ ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ପାର୍ଟରୁ ଦବାନି ସେମିତି କିଛି ନୁହଁ. ତାକୁ ଆମେ ଇଣ୍ଟର କରେଣ୍ଟ କରିଦେବାକୁ ପଡିବ. ଇଣ୍ଟର କରେଣ୍ଟ ଯେତେବେଳେ କରିଦେବା ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମେ ଅଶୋକ ପଢୁଛ ଆକବର କଥା ଆମେ ଲେଖିବା ଅଟୋମେଟିକ ତାକୁ ଆମେ ଏଣ୍ଟାର କରେକ୍ଟ କରିଦେଲେ। ଆମକୁ କୁହାଯାଏ ଯେ ଏନସିଏଣ୍ଟ ପିରିୟଡଟା ଆମେ କେମିତି ମୋଗଲ ପିରିୟଡ ଲେଖିବା ନାହିଁ। ସୋ ଆମେ 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 ଗୌତମ ବୁଦ୍ଧ ପଚାରିଛି we will make a comparison between Jaina, Mahavira and Gautam Buddha, and we will compare Confucius of China and Gautam Buddha and Mahavira. ଏମାନେ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ କଣ କରୁଥିଲେ, ଚାଇନାରେ ସେମାନେ କଣ କରୁଥିଲେ, and what was its impact in all over the India. এইটা হচ্ছে ହିଷ୍ଟ୍ରିର ଏ ଯୋଉ ଜିନିଷର କଥା ମୁଁ କହିଲି, ଟୁ ଏକ୍ସାମିନ୍ and to make cross examine କଲେ ହିଁ ତମେ ସେଟା ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମେ ଦେଖିବ, ତମେ ସେ ଭିତରେ ପ୍ରବେଶ ଯେତେବେଳେ କରିଯିବ, ତମେ ଅଟୋମେଟିକଲି ଏଗୁଡିକ ଜିନିଷ କରିପାରିବ। ଏବଂ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦେଖିବା ଗୋଟେ ରୁଲରକୁ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ରୁଲରକୁ ଆମେ କମ୍ପେୟାର କରିବା, କେମିତି କରିବା, ସେ ଏନସିଏଣ୍ଟ ହେଇଥାଉ, ମିଡିଏଭାଲ ହେଇଥାଉ କି ମଡର୍ନ ହେଇଥାଉ, ତାକୁ will make a comparison, then automatically the answer will be more interesting. ଓକେ, ଆମେ ସେଇ ଜିନିଷଟା ଯେତେବେଳେ ଖାତା ଦେଖୁ, ମୁଁ ବି ଇଗ୍ନୋର ଖାତା ଦେଖୁଛି, ପିଜି ଖାତା ଯାକ ସବୁ ଯାକ ଅଲ ଓଭର ଦ ୱାର୍ଲଡ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ଯାଉଛି ମୋ ପାଖକୁ ମୂଲ୍ୟ। ଯେତେବେଳେ ମୁଁ ଦେଖେ ସେ କଥାଟା ମୁଁ ଖୋଜେ ପିଲାମାନେ କୋଉଠି କଣ ଲେଖିଛନ୍ତି। ଓକେ, then now we'll come about understanding early historic urbanization. Ram Saran Sharma, R.S. Sharma, a famous historian, R.S. Sharma. So try to know about some historians, about their backgrounds. Drawing on D.D. Kausambi, Damodar Dharmendra Kausambi. Try to remember the entire name, and you shouldn't tell about D.D. Kausambi, because automatically the interviewer will ask you, please tell me the total name of Kausambi. Then Damodara Dharmananda Kausambi. It is very difficult to remember, but you have to remember these two famous historians, Damodara Dharmendra Kausambi, but the students, they know better as a D.D. Kausambi. Ideas. He made a link between iron technology and beginning of state and cities in the early historic period. So what happened? They have made a connection between iron technology and the early historic period. Then Amarananda Ghosh made a distinction between urban from the rural. So again he has made a distinguish between urban and the rural. He states that political and economic factors played a critical role in the establishment of the cities. It is quite natural. Political and economic factors played a crucial role or critical role in the establishment of cities. ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଲୋକମାନେ ଭିଲେଜରୁ ପଳେଇ ଯାଆନ୍ତି, ସିଟି ବୋଲି ପ୍ରକୃତରେ କିଛି ନଥିଲା, ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦେଖିଲେ ଗୋଟେ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟ୍ରିଟେ ହେଇଗଲା, ରାଉରକେଲାରେ ଗୋଟେ ବସିଗଲା ଷ୍ଟିଲ ପ୍ଲାଣ୍ଟ, ଅଟୋମେଟିକଲି କଣ ହେଲା, ଯେତେ ସବୁ ଓଡିଶାର ରୁରାଲରୁ ଲୋକମାନେ ପଳେଇଗଲେ ଟୁ ୱାର୍କ ଦେୟାର, automatically Raulkela became a city. Okay, so automatically it is a urban center. So this is the economic prospect of a area. His view is based on critical reading of both text and archaeological data. So he has exhibited or he has taken so many archaeological data and also the text. Accordingly, he brought a conclusion about the cities or the urban centers. Vijay Kumar Thakur opined that in the early historic phase, there were widespread use of iron technology. So and increased agricultural production. So what happened? His opinion is that during early historic phase, there was a widespread of iron technology which increased the agricultural production. Naturally, his chapters based on urban economy, society, and culture. So he has written a book on urban economy, society, and culture. How society was flourishing, and what was their culture, and what was their economic condition. How it led to construct a city or a urban center. Then Kameswara Prasad in his work focused solely on Kusana cities. He has Kameswara, what he has done? He has his work focused solely on Kusana period cities with the re-emergence of urbanism from the 500 before Common Era. There was a steady increase in the growth of cities and towns, and the process of urbanization quickly under the Kusanas. So what happened during Kusana periods? The cities flourished and it entered into the peak period. So his work focused on the location of morphology crafts. So he has focused on location, then morphology, crafts, trade routes during the Kusanan periods. You see how these things like craft, like trade routes played an important role for the development of urban centers. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ trade route ହେଇଯାଏ, ତମେ ଦେଖୁଛ ଏବେ ମୁଁ ତମକୁ କହିଥିଲି ବୋଧେ ମୋର ମନେ ପଡୁନାହିଁ, ଆମର ପ୍ରଥମେ ଆମେ ଦେଖିଲେ ଯେ ଯେତେ ସବୁ ସିଭିଲାଇଜେସନ ହେଇଛି ସବୁ ଯାକ ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା ଯେ ନଦୀ କୂଳରେ ସବୁ ଯାକ ଗଢି ଉଠିଛି। କିନ୍ତୁ ଆମେ ଯଦି ଏବେ ଦେଖିବା ଗୋଟେ ଟାଉନଟେ ହଉ ବା ଗୋଟେ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ସାଇଟ୍ ଯୋଉ ଡେଭଲପ ହେଇଯାଉଛି କୋଉଠି ହଉଛି କହିପାରିବ? ଆମେ ଦେଖିଥିବା ଯେ ଇଣ୍ଡାସ ଭ୍ୟାଲି ହଉ ବା ବେଦିକ ସିଭିଲାଇଜେସନ ହଉ ଏ ସବୁ ଜାଗା କୋଉଠି ହେଇଛି? ମେନଲି ଇନ୍ ଦ ରିଭର ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ। କିନ୍ତୁ ଏବେ ଯୋଉ ହଉଛି ଏବେ ଦେଖିବ ରୋଡ ଭ୍ୟାଲି ସିଭିଲାଇଜେସନ, ଯୋଉଟା ଗୋଟେ ରୋଡ ପଳେଇଗଲା ଅଟୋମେଟିକଲି କଣ ହଉଛି ଦିପଟ ସାଇଡ୍ ଜାଗା ବହୁତ ଡିମାଣ୍ଡ ହେଇଯାଉଛି ଏବଂ ଲୋକମାନେ ଆସିକିରି ସେଇଠି ରହୁଛନ୍ତି। ହେଲା, ଏଟା ମୁଖ୍ୟ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ କଣ ନା ଗୋଟେ ରୁଟ ଗୋଟେ ଆମର ଖୋଲିଗଲା, ଯୋଉଟା କି ଆଗ କାଳରେ ଥିଲା ଟ୍ରେଡ ରୁଟ। ଆଗ ଲୋକେ ପସନ୍ଦ କରୁନଥିଲେ ଯେ ରୋଡ ସାଇଡ୍ ଘର କରିବା ପାଇଁ, ବଟ୍ ନାଉ ଇଟ୍ ଇଜ ଭେରି ଡିମାଣ୍ଡିଂ। କାହିଁକି ନା ଇଟ୍ ବ୍ୟାକ୍ସ economically one sound, because ସେଠି କଣ କରିବ ସିଏ ଟ୍ରେଡ ଆଣ୍ଡ ବିଜନେସ ଆରାମରେ କରିପାରିବ। ଓକେ, ସୋ ଦିସ୍ ଆର୍ ଦ ମେନ୍ ପଏଣ୍ଟସ। ଏବଂ କୁଶାନ ପିରିୟଡରେ ମଧ୍ୟ କଣ ହେଲା ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ କାଇଣ୍ଡସ ଅଫ କ୍ରାଫ୍ଟସ, ଯୋଉ ସେମାନେ ନିଜ ହାତରେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଯୋଉ କ୍ରାଫ୍ଟ କଲେ, ଯୋଉ ଆର୍ଟ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟ କଥା ମୁଁ କହୁଛି, କ୍ରାଫ୍ଟସ ଆଉ trade routes developed during Kusana period. Frank Raymond Alchin has argued that urbanization and urbanism, what we have discussed, urbanization and urbanism should not be viewed as a homogeneous process. So his view is that it is not a homogeneous process. What he is telling, he attempted the regional patterns of city formation in early historic South Asia, and he identified 6 distinct regions with different trajectories. Okay, so what happened? He had given 6 districts. Okay, and these cities are quite different from each other. So we will see what were these 6 cities. So one is the Ganga Basin, then the Northwest, then the Central India, then Deccan, then Western and Eastern coastal strips, then islands of Sri Lanka. On the basis of size, he formulated 6 categories of cities, and all are not equal, and all are different from each other. Dilip K. Chakrabarty's view that emergency of cities considered irrigation and craft specialization were the key factors for urbanization in the Harappan period. ସେତେବେଳେ ତ ଆଉ ହରପ୍ପାନ ପିରିୟଡ କିଛି ନଥିଲା। ସୋ ଗୋଟେ ଥିଲା କଣ ନା ଇରିଗେସନ ଏବଂ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଥିଲା କ୍ରାଫ୍ଟ ସ୍ପେଶାଲାଇଜେସନ। ଯାହା ହାତରେ ଧନ୍ୟ ଜଣେ ସିଲ୍ ଭଲ କରିପାରିଲା ତାହେଲେ କଣ ହବ, ଲୋକମାନେ ସେଇଠିକି ଯାଉଥିଲେ ସିଲ୍ କରିବା ପାଇଁ। ହେଲା, ଗୋଟେ ଜାଗାରେ ଇରିଗେସନ ବା ଚାଷ ଭଲ ହେଇପାରିଲା, ଅଟୋମେଟିକଲି ସେ ଏରିଆରେ କଣ ହେଲା ନା ଗୁଡେ ଫାର୍ମର୍ସ ବା ଲୋକ ସେଠି ବସବାସ କଲେ। ସୋ ଦିସ୍ ଆର୍ ଦ 2 important factors for the growth of urbanization during the early Harappan period or in early historic period. P.K. Boson has analyzed the urbanization, a link between the emergence of a state and urban centers. So he has interlinked about the state and the urban centers. So he has opined that urbanization a link between emergence of a state. So urbanization, what is the its symbol? That means it is the emergence of a state. And urban centers comprised of diverse social and oligarchic communities. So, religious communities. So, what happened? Urban centers comprised of diverse social and religious communities. ତମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦେଖିବ ଯେ society କଣ ହଉଛି different kinds of religious people are there. ଏ ଯୋଉ religion ଉପରେ ତମକୁ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ଗୋଟେ ଦିନ ଡିଟେଲ ମୁଁ କହିବି why religion is a part and parcel of history writing or history reading. We will discuss later on because there is no time now. It is already 8:11. So exploring and exhibiting early historic urban centers, George Idosi, through his survey in the tahsils of Child, then Madanpur and Sirthu in Allahabad district, UP, highlighted the importance of field surveys and the problems of urbanization in early historic northern period. So what happened? He has given a detailed problems how in the early historic cities came into existence, or the early urbanization center came into existence. Monica Spain's study indicates that the local and regional social and economic networks may have been more important in the early historic period. So he has given another thing like social and economic problem. He further made a systematic field survey of Sisupalagada near Bhubaneswara. What we have discussed earlier. He further made a systematic field survey of Sisupalagada near Bhubaneswara, an early historic site in Odisha. It revealed higher proportion of locally made items. These exhibitions have provided a wealth of evidence about various aspects of early historic periods, early historic sites and towns. They have discovered so many things about the in the Sisupalagada. It also tells plans of public and religious buildings. It is very important to record all the finds because this information alone will help the archaeologist in understanding what went on in the ancient cities. So, जो शिशुपालक जहाँ पाई जाती, it is enough for the archaeologist to give a clear picture about the ancient cities. And archaeological data allows the possibility of reconstructing the daily lives of the urban residents and their activities in the past. So, ये जो archaeological data हमें जो पाई जाए, it is enough for us to give a detailed picture of the ancient cities. Mohendara and Harappa were among the earliest cities came up between 2600 to 1900 before Common Era. A large number of Harappan sites, both large and small, have been exhibited. This rich data enabled detailed studies on trade, political organization, technologies, craft, and end of the urban centers. That means the materials we have exhibited at different sites of Harappa, Mohendaro, Sisupalagada. It gives a detailed descriptions and analysis about the ancient cities. The studies on the early historic sites can be divided into three groups. First, based on text. Again, it was described. First, based on text. Second, synthesis of urbanization and urbanism. Third, surveys and exhibitions undertake to investigate aspects of urban centers. The monographs on early historic sites have focused on the location, morphology, craft, trade, and trade routes. So this is all about the early historic cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. We have exhibited so many materials, and accordingly we come to the conclusion about the Harappan or Mohenjo-daro planning and different kinds of activities, the craft activities, the trade, society, political, and economical aspect of the Harappa and the Mohenjo-daro, or so to say, the early historic cities during the early period. So this is all about our second chapter. We have discussed. So, my dear friends, try to read it, read it, and come tomorrow. You come thick by 7 p.m. If you have any doubt, we will discuss about it. Okay. Any doubt? Anything you want to ask me? My dear friends. Sadananda, Sadananda, Vishwajit. Hello?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay.
No,
So,
sir.
okay. Any
No, sir.
question?
No, sir.
No. Anyway, so try to read in today's night. Come with some preparation in my next class. We will discuss. Okay. So with this, I am concluding here, and good night to all. Okay. Thank you. My dear
Good night,
friend.
sir. Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Good night, sir.
Good night. Good night. Good night.